Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moeden. This is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. Yes, I've got my pajamas on. I'm ready for an early night because I need to revitalize after this hectic weekend and hectic week that I had, and obviously get ready and start prepping for all the amazing content that we're going to be bringing you with regards to the England series. So, I thought that this would be a pretty good time for us to chill and talk about KG's press conference. I had Aditya go to the press conference, well, not physically, but virtually. And he basically did a piece to summarize all the talking points. And we obviously provided those comments for you. I'm going to play a couple of clips of KG's press conference. And then I'm going to get Aditya on to have a chat about the press conference as a whole. But before I show you some of the main points that KG said, just two particular videos that I'm going to play for you. One is about 4 minutes, and the other one is about 1 minute. The one is about the IPL and how he's feeling with regards to his form. The other one is about BLM, which I think is a nice way to end off this particular podcast. So I'm first and foremost, before we get going, before we do all of that, guys, please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. So, without further ado, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to play the first clip from KG's press conference for the guys that haven't seen it. Guys, get your comments in. Let me know what you think about it. And let me know what you think about what he said. Here's the first clip of KG.
Yeah, the IPL was a great tournament, but in cricket, especially when you're playing on the international stage, you always have to repeat your performances on a constant basis. So it's definitely not an easy place to play cricket. You're never in your comfort zone, especially when when things are not going as smooth as you'd like them to. Sometimes you hit a purple patch, but most of the other time you're just literally scrapping. So playing against England, I've played against them quite a few times, and it's never easy. But it doesn't change the fact that whoever you play, every game you have to come back and you have to do the same thing. So that's something that us as cricketers know that we have to do. I wouldn't say it's overwhelming, playing in a series like this. Definitely, you do give them a lot of respect, just like you would any international side. But cricket is a repetitive game, and you have to repeat that in every game that you play. So I guess that's the challenge at the end of the day, is to see how well you can do it, and that's why we play. We play to win as well, and to test ourselves individually. Well, I can only speak for myself. I think at the IPL, the competitiveness was second to none. You have the world's best players fighting for the top spot, so the competitiveness is going to be really up there. And you saw just by the results and by how tight that competition was. So I felt, the crowd. Without the crowd, I mean, the competitiveness was there, but the crowd obviously gives that extra bit of adrenaline and that extra bit of, drama, if you want to put it that way, or theater. So definitely there is an element missing without the crowd. But we, at the end of the day, we're cricketers, competitive cricketers who want to compete. Ultimately want to compete against other players to test your skill level, and I think it'll be much of the same this series, but I can only speak for myself. And also getting into the bubbles, it can be quite tough. You can't, interact. You've basically lost your freedom. It's almost like luxury prisons that we're in. But at the end of the day, you just have to remind yourself that we are fortunate. Not many people right now have lost their jobs. People are struggling at the moment. So I just try to remind myself that, we must be grateful for the opportunity that has been given to us. First of all, to earn some money, and second of all, to do what we love. And we don't get treated too badly. I mean, we stay in great hotels, we get the best foods. It's just it's like a spoiled a spoiled kid, not getting what they want at the candy store. But at the same time, it can be quite tough because you're just you're just surrounded by four walls most of the time, and that can play a factor mentally. But like I said, just reminding yourself of all the good things that are happening, and yeah, that should get us through. But we're here to play cricket in that same vein. So the cricket, once we start playing, I think will take away from the I don't know, the desolate times.
Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot that there's an exit thing in the video that I uploaded. The show is not done. We still have a lot to talk about. I'm going to bring on Aditya now to have a chat. I thought about giving Aditya an opportunity. How's it, Aditya? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I thought that excellent time for you to obviously ask questions to KG about the IPL, and I obviously gave instructions that maybe this give the senior journalists an opportunity to ask their questions first. I never predicted that they're going to ask all the IPL questions up front. So unfortunate, because I really wanted you to ask those questions. Generally speaking, I didn't think that they really care about the IPL as much. But clearly, those were the main questions that they asked. I should have predicted that. I should not have given you rules. Next time there won't be rules. You can just ask any question that you want. But let's just give the guys a quick overview of what you heard in that press conference and what were some of your main takeaways.
So as you said, the IPL was a massive focus of the press conference, and I think part of the reason why that might have been the case was because of KG's performance in the IPL. Mm-hmm. You know, I think if KG hadn't performed the way he did, then maybe they would not have focused on the IPL as much. But you know, that it was typical KG in the press conference. You know, extremely eloquent. You know, very thoughtful, and he had, you know, I think he had a perfect analysis down of what happened at the IPL, you know, what it was like to play in empty stadiums, you know, without crowds, and just the impact of a crowd in the IPL. And at the press conference, he said that, you know, when he was presenting a hypothetical situation of, you know, if he was to be bowling at Joe Root, it wouldn't matter whether there was a crowd or not. You know, it would still be super competitive because Joe Root is a quality batsman, and KG obviously wants to bring out the best in himself. Yeah. And he also recognizes the fact that, you know, even though you do have a crowd, as an individual, as a professional cricketer, you don't wake up 100% every day. You know, you're sore sometimes, you have a nickel maybe, you know, maybe you're a bit sick. You're not feeling 100% every day. Somehow you find a way to motivate yourself. So sure, a crowd may be able to provide that added motivation, but ultimately they're not going to bowl the ball for you. You got to do it yourself.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, he said he misses the South African crowd. We are a very patriotic fan base, and he misses them. He's going to miss them. The team's going to miss them, but they're not going to need that extra motivation to want to beat England. That comes within them. And I thought that was an excellent point. I also liked the fact that he spoke about the philosophy of Mark Boucher. And when he specifically said that they buy into the philosophy that the coach has, I think that's the headline of the press conference that we went for with regard, if you can find that press conference on this channel. Of course, we have an England tour to South Africa playlist on this channel, so you can go check everything with regards to England. We also have an England series tab on our website for you guys to check everything with regards to the England series. But I will, for the guys that watch this later, I will give you guys that eye so that you can go check that out on the channel as well. You must click it on I think it's your left-hand side of your screen. I can't remember which side. This thing's mirrored. So I will click the eye on the screen, obviously, to get that press conference. So for the guys that watch it later. I'm going to go into just two of the comments here quickly. Aditya, you can answer them. But Rabada is probably one of the most intelligent and well-spoken fast bowlers going around. There was a particular question that was asked to him in the middle of the press conference about Black Lives Matter and about kneeling. And he knew that he should rather just not speak about it in the way that the question was asked, I guess. With that, it just shows that that Rabada is an intelligent guy and he thinks before he speaks. You know, he's not one of those guys who are going to get easily caught out in a conversation.
Yeah, he's obviously a smart guy. And the other thing is that he's spoken about his stance on Black Lives Matters. And later on, after that question was asked, he emphasized on the fact that it was also a team decision, and that in addition to Black Lives Matters, they're also focusing on gender-based violence. So he didn't get trapped into answering that question, which is very smart of him. But then, as he said, he may be 25, but he's also one of the most experienced in the team. So he knows what he's doing.
So talking about that particular comments on Black Lives Matter, we have posted it on our social medias, but for the guys that have tuned in, just a quick 1 minute, 29-second video. What I did over here is because he was cut out in the middle of his press conference when he started answering it the first time. And there was something that he said that was very specific over there that he didn't say the second time around. And so I added that obviously to the front so that you can get the full meaning of what he was trying to say, because obviously he wouldn't have remembered everything when he was thinking it back. So here's the clip that I put together of what he had to say on the Black Lives Matter movement.
We basically just we spoke about it as a group. And there are lots of things to look at these days. To me, Black Lives Matters. And also now we're looking at gender-based violence. Black lives will always matter. All lives will always matter. But the situation now is Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matters 100% as something that I will always stand for. And I speak for myself. It was a team decision not to kneel. And I think is to look at gender-based violence. And to devote ourselves to another cause. However, Black Lives Matters will always be relevant and something that I will always believe in, and I speak for myself there. But Mark has stated that the team will not be kneeling, and that's how it is going to be.
So I wanted to ask you about that, Aditya, and from you being in India as well, I know different people from different countries take different stances on this particular movement. Obviously, the Premier League in England, they've all decided that they're going to take a knee. America, similarly in their sports. What has the talk been when this broke, the BLM movement broke in India? What was the reaction like on that side of the world?
To be honest, there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about Black Lives Matters in the Indian context, but that said, in the game,
in the world context,
but in the game against Rajasthan Royals, the Mumbai Indians versus Rajasthan Royals game in the IPL, Hardik Pandya he got to 50 and he knelt and he said Black Lives Matters. So I think it's an individual decision perhaps, but maybe it's a context that we don't really understand as much, and therefore I think we also haven't been in a position where I think the only cricket that Indians have played has been IPL cricket. So, and there hasn't been talk of taking the knee during the India versus Australia series. So I think maybe it's something that the Indians don't want to do just because perhaps they don't really understand it fully, or maybe they don't struggle with it fully. So maybe that's why they want to stay out of it.
So for me, I wanted to say that what KG said and what Boucher has said, obviously, this is my own views as well. I do believe as well that all lives do matter. Of course they do. It's difficult, I feel, to obviously talk about every single point with a lot of passion at once. It's like when South Africa play in the pink ODI and they're supporting breast cancer, doesn't mean that breast cancer doesn't matter in the rest of the year or the rest of our other games. for that particular time, that should be the focus and give full attention to that. And it's just something in the world that maybe we should do more often, is give certain issues a proper highlight, whatever it may be, and for anything. That's why I feel that because in South Africa we have so much issues, to focus on the one thing and not the other, it can be quite hectic. We can see how sensitive South Africans are. I mean, in the World Cup, I'll never forget it. South Africa's playing in the World Cup. They're doing quite well. Okay, they lost the opening game against New Zealand, but they were doing pretty well. And we obviously had Mapimpi that after he scored a couple of tries in the warm-up against Japan, he obviously had Nene on his arm. Obviously, there was a young girl that was brutally, she was brutally raped and killed. And obviously people stood up for that, and it was a very sad topic, and it was very sad to see that in the news, and he stood up for that. And a little bit later in the series, there was that whole racial thing that was blown out of proportion, where people started saying that because they excluded Mapimpi from the group that was called the Bomb Squad, they said, oh no, they're being racist because they said he can't be part of the huddle for that particular thing, or the celebration for that particular moment. But they don't show the evidence of them also doing it to another white player, which was not part of the Bomb Squad. So things get blown out of proportion ridiculously, and I feel the same thing happened to Lungi in his press conference. He spoke his views, and honest and openly, and it was taken out of proportion, and people, they completely ran with it. At that particular time, it was in the height of the BLM movement, so a lot of people were sensitive. And I think that this particular time, the way KG addressed it, and that's why I said I must play that first part of the clip for you. The way he addressed it was perfect, and I stand with what he's saying. I respect, I guess, Mark Barcher's decision not to take the knee because of other things. They want to highlight other particular issues that the president spoke about as well. And they want to work on that internally, because ultimately, to make sure that the culture is good and that racism is not happening in camp, those are things that need to be taken care of internally, so that the future can be brighter for all of those issues in the future. But let's not talk about that anymore. I want to ask you something more lightheartedly. And Bad Panda says there's a lot to talk about KG arrested for some reason. There was a lot of talk about KG getting arrested for some reason. He spoke about that as well. He obviously dealt with the fact that he understands now. Before, he never wanted to be arrested. He wanted to play every single game, but he understands when he needs to and when he doesn't need to. Shows his maturity at the age of 25. But I want you to answer this particular question, Aditya, because Sadiq wants to know. He says he wanted you guys to views on his reply to the question about the Yorker. It was probably the last question.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about Yorker first?
Yeah.
Okay. So he said that it was a delivery that he relies on a fair bit. But at the same time, he understands that the margin of error with the Yorker is particularly small. And so it's important to have protection, whether it's a short fine leg or, if you're bowling like really quick Yorker, then you want to have fine leg as a protection. So that was there. But I think what I really liked about that answer was that he talked about adaptability. He said that if that's your go-to ball, that's great, execute it. But if that doesn't go well for you, and then you have an alternative plan to go to, that was impressive. And I think that's something that South Africa has been struggling with historically, in my view. You look at past T20 tournaments, or you look at past T20 games, tight games that they've lost. I think it's been because of a lack of adaptability. No plan B to go to. Whereas here you've got a 25-year-old cricketer who's been on the circuit for the last 5 years, and he talks about switching very quickly from what is your, that's your most lethal delivery in cricket, to, finding another one if that doesn't work for you. So incredibly mature answer in my view.
I found it quite amusing because I asked him, what if they scoop you or they lap you for a couple of hours? And he's like, you just put a fielder there. I was like, wow, okay, this is as straightforward as it can be. Like, it's like, I'll just put a fielder there if I get lapped. Like, that's the confidence in him, man. It's like, that's the confidence that a lot of youngsters need to get, because when you get smashed, your confidence is immediately dented. And you can see a lot of fast bowlers, it happens to them. Even the top ones, they get smashed for 6, and then they're like a bit nervous. They bowl a crap ball again, and they get smashed for 6 again. And then they don't know how to recover. The things about him is like, okay, you saw my Yorker, let's put a fielder there, try it again. That confidence in saying that, I don't think people understand that that's actually what I got out of it. I was like, because it's not just like, oh yeah, you put a fielder there. It's more like, I'm gonna bowl a Yorker to you. You're gonna read it. Okay, cool. Read it. You lap me. Cool. Now I'm gonna put a fielder there. Now do it again. That's what I got from it. From Cage's little bit of what he said. But yeah, is there anything else you want to add with regards to this press conference that really stood out to you? Is there any last moments?
So, generally we talk about fear of failure, right? In South Africa, South African cricketers in big tournaments have not performed. They've underperformed, in the bigger tournaments. And it has been attributed to a certain degree to a fear of failure. And here, I think that answer was indicative of the fact that he's not afraid of getting hit. And he understands that it's inevitable that he's going to get hit. And if you go back to the IPL and you look at, like 3 or 4 games that Delhi lost when Andrik and KG were not at their best, but they came back, made it to the final. So that shows that these guys are not afraid of failing. They know that it's inevitable, it's a part of the game, and they just have to move on with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and him being the person that he is, the youngsters that come into the side you can learn so much. He might not be by age experience, like he said, but he's the most experienced, one of the most experienced guys in the side, like he said. If you guys want to watch the full press conference, head over there if you want to hear more of what KG had to say. I think that's enough for today, Aditya. Thanks a lot for coming on the show. Thanks to all the guys that have tuned in. Don't forget to obviously like, comment, share, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. I also want you guys to please go to cricketfanaticsmag.com. That's where all your updates will be. We have an England series tab where you can just click on to get all the updates of everything that we're doing. All the content that we're doing on the England series is right there for you. Easy for you to check out. Don't forget to obviously download the latest issue of the magazine. And also subscribe by clicking on the link on the screen or in the description. Don't not tap your screens. Go to the link in the description. That's just the link for you guys if you're on a different device, on a TV, for etc. As well, guys, if you have a business and you're looking to make sales online and you are really looking to automate your sales process, there's a free video on this channel for you guys to watch. This takes a couple of minutes of your time to check out what we have for you. It's a free tutorial on how to do so, and you can click that in the description below. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to you, Aditya, too, for coming on the show. As per usual, always giving us amazing insights. Go check his piece out as well. He gives you a quick summary with the press conference as well. We'll see you guys tomorrow again with another daily show. Take care, everyone.